What's up, guys and gals? It's me, Uncle Jeff, waltzing back into your life to hit you with a smaller video while I'm still chipping away at the one I'm putting all the big boy effort into. Plus, it's October and Halloween's gonna be rolling around soon, and I can't just not make a spooky little video during October. What kind of aspiring hack would I be if I didn't? Now, this topic is gonna require just a little bit of backstory, so just do me a favor, sit down, and shut up while I'm talking, okay? Around a year ago, give or take, my buddy Garrett and I were chilling in a late night Discord call, doing what two white dudes do at 4 in the morning. Gaming, screaming, sexually harassing each other, you know, the works. When somehow the topic shifted to some ordinary gamers. You know, Mudahar, the funny laughing guy. We were reminiscing on his channel's early years, haunted gaming specifically, when a memory came rushing back to me, hard enough to completely break my focus on whatever I was doing at the time. I had randomly remembered a creepypasta he'd covered years ago. Garrett pried for more details, and I gave them as best as I could. I didn't remember the title. I did know it centered around Metal Gear Solid 2, specifically the part of the game with the weird codec calls from the AI kernel, and it was something about a dead loved one talking to the protagonist through the in-game calls, slightly or majorly altering the kernel's dialogue. We immediately sprang to scour the internet for any creepypastas similar to my description. I know for a fact I scrolled through and meticulously searched every haunted gaming archival playlist I could, looking for that damn video, but the effort was wasted. And after a few months of sporadic searching, Garrett and I gave up completely and returned to our dank goon caves, heads hung low, to live out the rest of our days in shame. Until about a week ago. One morning, while lying in bed with my dog about to drift off to sleep, the story randomly wormed its way back into my head, and I felt the oddest compulsion to give the search one last go-around. I figured ultimately it'd be worthless to try, but honestly, what was the harm? I sat up, grabbed my tablet, and searched MGS2 Creepypasta. Exactly that. It's a vague search. Honestly, anything could have popped up. I scrolled, and scrolled, and scrolled, and then finally, it revealed itself to me. Before my very eyes lie the holy grail of personal, uninteresting lost internet media. I was floored. As I went to copy the link to send to Garrett, I saw something that made my fucking brow furrow and my boxers turn brown. It had been archived on the fucking Trollpasta wiki. Great. Just fucking great. Love that I spent so much time and brainpower looking for what could have very easily been a shitpost. Whatever, man, it'll make for a fun video anyway. Ladies, gentlemen, and everything else in between, I now humbly present to you an authentic, dramatic reading of 3 AM with Colonel Campbell. Please enjoy. Remember that scene in Metal Gear Solid 2 where Colonel Campbell starts talking funny? As if that wasn't creepy enough, there's a story about a boy and his father that's even creepier. A boy named Todd was playing his favorite game, Metal Gear Solid 2, at 3 AM in the morning, where Raiden is freed from Ocelot's torture chamber, and he starts getting odd messages from the Colonel. Todd had been playing games more recently since the passing of his dad, who died 5 months ago from a heart attack. He had been lazy and didn't exercise or encourage his son to exercise. Anyways, as usual, the first codec call comes up and Raiden answers it. After a few back-and-forth exchanges, Raiden asks Colonel, "Who are you?" And strangely, instead of Colonel saying, "No more questions, we have Rosemary," Colonel says, "It's me." The second codec call comes in even stranger. When the second call comes in, Colonel originally says, "Raiden, turn the game console off right now." This time, he says, "Son, turn the game off right now." More lines are exchanged. When Raiden asks Colonel, "What's wrong with you?" the Colonel originally says, "Don't worry, it's just a game. It's a game just like usual." What he says now is, "It's just a game, son." Now, Rose originally appears and tells Raiden, "You'll ruin your eyes playing so close to the TV." This time, Colonel says the line, but differently, saying, "You'll ruin your life sitting so close to the TV." Now, in the original, Colonel follows up saying, "Raiden, something happened to me last Thursday when I was driving home. I had a couple of miles to go. I looked up and saw a glowing orange object in the sky, to the east. It was moving very irregularly. Suddenly there was an intense light all around me, and when I came to, I was home. What do you think happened to me?" Raiden asks, "Huh?" And Colonel says, "Fine, forget it." This time, Colonel says, "Son, something happened to me this spring when I was walking home. I had a couple of feet to go. The rest stays original until after the word irregularly, when he finishes. Suddenly there was an intense light all around me, and when I left, I came home. What do you think happened to me? Raiden asks, huh? And Colonel says, fine, forget it. Colonel continues to berate Raiden for playing the game, saying, honestly though, you have been playing the game for a long time. Don't you have anything else to do with your time? The codec calls keep coming as Colonel now says, actually, there is something I've been meaning to tell you, but I just couldn't. I think you should know though. He goes on to tell Raiden about seeing Rose possibly being intimate with another man. The next codec call is a line from NGS-1, telling Raiden to find President Baker. This continues until Colonel says, Snake, you are all alone and surrounded by bad guys. This time, Colonel says, son, you are all alone and surrounded by bad habits. The codec calls continue until Colonel says, I was a North American fall webworm in my past life. Those were the good old days. What were you in your former life? This time, he says, I was a North American father in my past life. Those were the good old days. What were you in your former life? Another codec call passes, where Colonel says, even my patience has its limits. I can't just leave this thing up to you anymore. I'll do the fighting. You can just go home. This time, everything but the fourth sentence is the same, where instead of Colonel saying, you can just go home, he now says, you can just go to bed. More codec calls come and go when Colonel says, I can't believe it that someone who has committed all those twisted acts in the woman's bathroom would make it this far. This is the end of the world. Everything but the words woman's bathroom is the same, now being replaced by the words video game. The next codec call is the outright creepy one. Originally, Colonel says, Snake, like Shakespeare said, not had all spent, where our desire is got without content. Basically, it means that your desire can get you into trouble if you're not careful. That goes for items too. Don't get too greedy or you might be sorry. Be careful, Snake. Now, Colonel says, Todd, like Shakespeare said, not had all spent, where our desire is got without content. Basically, it means that your desire can get you into trouble if you're not careful. That goes for items too. Don't get too greedy or you might be sorry. Be careful, son. The final codec call that is mysteriously different is the one in which Colonel says, I'm not home right now. Please leave a message after the beep. Beep! The line, I'm not home right now, is replaced by, I'm not home anymore. Todd finally gets the message when the PS2 shuts off by itself. So, to preface my thoughts, I just want to say I have no actual idea if the story was intentionally written to be bad, or if it was just a bad story that wound up being moved onto the Creepypasta wiki. Kinda like the original Sonic.exe. Searching for more info on the story yielded nothing but the story link itself and a single YouTube video from a few years back with a few hundred views. So, for the sake of the video, I'm gonna assume it was written with sincerity and it was just an amateur author's attempt at horror. And if you know otherwise, call me fat and or gay in the comments or something. Both wouldn't be far off. Now, how do I say this in the nicest way possible? I think this story isn't the greatest. In fact, I'd go as far as to say it sucked red hot liquid shit, and I want the author to drop their ice cream cone on the ground, then get shoved into a locker. Seriously though, I want to start with my positive thoughts before getting into the, vast negatives. I gotta say, off the bat, I like the idea the story has going. I think the only thing holding it back was the author's ability to write a captivating and interesting story. I can imagine a different world where this story is actually a quite eerie but heartbreaking story about final goodbyes, but sadly that's not the world we're living in. I also love the idea of this real-life creepy game moment being used to make something creepier. Usually you see people twisting innocence nowadays, but trying to up the freakiness of a weird moment is an A+ idea. And unfortunately, that's about where my positive thoughts conclude. Believe me, I tried racking my brain for more nice things to say, but truthfully, I just couldn't. The story is just bad. To quote my buddy Garrett on the topic, it was shitwash. Firstly, the way it was formatted and framed is really boring and repetitive, making it not fun to read in the least bit. It gets to the point where it feels like I'm just going around in circles, constantly saying, oh, this happens in the real game, but here it happens like this, over and over again, and it's just not fun to go through. Some variety in phrasing would be nice. Then there's the fact that the story is told in the third person, and I'm sorry, but a gaming creepypasta like this, in my opinion, needs to be told in the first person. A great example is NES Godzilla, a story with a semi-similar idea, where through a corrupting video game, the protagonist is able to communicate with a dead loved one. That story was not only elevated by its amazing artwork, but also its framing. If we weren't in the head of Zack, hearing his thoughts and how he's feeling at every moment, then it wouldn't be nearly as interesting. In this story, we're a fly on the wall watching this dumb kid with a dumb name talk to his dumb dead dad. Sorry to anyone named Todd who might be watching the video. Not really, fuck you. Secondly, this story is ridiculously bare bones, like the author had all the scary bits thought out and just threw them out rapid fire without any build-up. We as the audience spend zero time with Todd or the dad in the story before any of the events take place, so why the hell should we care? This whole thing is basically just an uninteresting scariest moments highlight reel where none of the advertised scary moments are remotely scary. Now as tonight draws to a close, I would like to show you a comment on the Trollpasta wiki page that I believe to be a perfect summation of tonight's presentation. From an anonymous user, they say, "This shit is so goofy. It's lost media and it's a Trollpasta about a ghost dad telling his son to touch grass. 10 out of 10. I agree, anonymous user. I agree. Now, if by some freak chance the author of this story finds this video, I hope you kept up the work, big dog. I'm sure you've improved a ton. And hopefully you don't want to tear my head off for not being the biggest fan of your spooky, scary AI kernel story. And if you found this video and it was intentionally written to be a silly troll, then great job. You got me to make a whole video about your elaborate ruse. Pat yourself on the back, champ. You earned it. And make sure to pat yourself on the back for finishing this video. Being as small as this channel is, I am grateful for any views I get. So from the bottom of my stupid cartoon heart, thank you. Like I said in the beginning, I'm working on a big video, and it's unfortunately taking longer than I'd like to admit. I'm just being a real tight ass about the script. It's just a topic incredibly close to my aforementioned heart, and I want to make it the best it can be. I'll tell you a little secret though. It's a Sonic video. Don't tell no one, okay? And I guess that's about it from me. Happy Halloween, everyone! Bye-bye!